I wish I never worked for a corporation ever. And I wish I started a business when I was in high school and I kept it going.
Hey, it's Rocky. Welcome to Richer Soul. Today's guest is Nicky, who will share how to think like a champion. Imagine it's 12 months from now, and you've achieved your major life goals. How does it feel to be in the best shape of your life? To wake up energized, excited about the day? To have great relationships and friends who support you and propel you forward? How does it feel to have an excess of money, to be able to make the choices you want? To be fearless and open to trying new adventures? Imagine being connected to the universe and it providing everything you desire. It's possible over time, and your past does not dictate your future. The only thing holding you back from this vision is you. It's time to take control of our thoughts and use them to our advantage. Welcome to Richer Soul, where we achieve our dreams and create harmony to health, wealth, relationships, time, and spirituality. If you have not had a chance to listen to episodes 1 through 9, I encourage you to go back and listen to the framework behind Richer Soul and how to create the life of your dreams. You can also find all the show notes for this episode at richersoul.com. Today's quote is from Charlie Munger. We both, meaning him and Warren Buffett, insist on a lot of time being available almost every day to just sit and think. That is very uncommon in American business. We read and think. We have to do less, learn more, and implement. And then you too can be a billionaire. Okay, maybe it's a little bit harder than that. But realize the reason they're billionaires is because of compounding. They didn't stop working at 65, which is impressive. As a matter of fact, I think 95+% of Warren's wealth occurred after 65. Again, compounding. I like to read 4 books a month and learn, and I'm going to continue to do it. I need to spend more time thinking, and that's a big goal for 2023. More defined thinking time. Before we continue, let's review last week's action step, which was to write down your passions and what you're good at, and find the intersection between the two. Then ask, are you at the intersection of that and what you do? I got to tell you, it's magical. It's like what Warren and Charlie do. They love what they do, and that's why they work. They're both in their 90s. Think about that. Continuing along in their 90s. Studies have proven when you have purpose, you tend to live longer. When you live in that intersection, then you're tap dancing to work. You have fun. I just hope I can be alive in my 90s and still be as active and lucid and involved as they are. Today, we have something a little bit different. It doesn't matter if you own a business or work in one. The mindset and activities are very similar. I've always said, run your personal life like a business. So many of us hold ourselves back, and there's no reason for that other than our own beliefs. Our guest today had to deal with adversity and change, and with a good upbringing was able to achieve success. Listen in to see what clues he left behind that you can use to do the same in your life. Nicky Billou is the #1 international best-selling author of the book Finish Line Thinking: How to Think and Win Like a Champion. The thought leader's journey, a fable of life, and the power of connecting. How to activate profitable relationships by serving your network. He's an in-demand and highly inspirational speaker to corporate audiences, and he's an advisor and confidant to some of the most successful and dynamic entrepreneurs in Canada. He's the co-founder of eCircle Academy, where he runs a year-long mastermind and educational program, working with coaches, consultants, corporate trainers, realtors, mortgage brokers, and other service-based entrepreneurs, positioning them as authorities in their niche. Let's meet Nicky. Welcome to Richer Soul, Nicky, Billou. It's great to have you join us today.
Rocky, it's an honor to be here.
And I'm excited to learn from you. We like to start at the beginning. What was it like when you were growing up, and how much did your family and school teach you about money?
I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, and my father was a man who had a lot of money growing up and was very generous. So my view of money was that it was a wonderful thing, and it was to be used to make a difference for people, to help spread joy and happiness in the world. That's how I grew up, thanks to my dad.
That's nice. What did he do that he was so successful?
My dad was an entrepreneur, and he was in the business of import and export. And in particular, he helped set up hospitals back in my home country of Iran. He had a couple of companies. One was called Medilab, the other was called Tarateb. And they were both all about supplying the equipment to equip hospitals. So he would bring in hospital beds, hospital laundry equipment, medical centrifuges, all kinds of stuff like that. And that's how he built his business. It was an incredible thing.
Well, congrats to him. So did he teach you anything intentionally with entrepreneurship, or was it more you just kind of watching? Or
it was a little bit of both. Like I said, I'm originally an immigrant from the Middle East, and I'm a Christian from Iran. And when I was a young boy, my father, God rest his soul, he could see that this new Islamic revolution was going to overthrow the relatively benign dictatorship of the Shah and replace it with a not so benign autocratic theocracy. And he saw the writing on the wall. He wanted to get his family the heck out of Iran. And he did that. He hustled us out of Iran, and eventually we settled in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And as a result of that, the whole trajectory of my family was changed. And I thank God every day for my dad for doing that, because we get to live in freedom. Now, I know that there's a lot of people these days that it's fashionable among them to say, oh my God, the West, America, Canada is so oppressive, so racist, so sexist. I push back real hard against that, because I believe that the West is the most tolerant place on earth. And, if you want to see examples of real racism, real sexism, go anywhere else. My home country of Iran is an example. Just a few weeks ago, a young woman, 22 years old, by the name of Mahsa Amini, was beaten to death by the so-called morality police for the crime of going outside with her hair partially uncovered. Because you see, in Iran, it's against the law for women to go outside with their hair or their skin uncovered. I mean, you think about that. That's real oppression. And the women and young girls of Iran have actually been fighting against this. They've been burning their hijabs. They've been going out there and pushing hard against this regime. And over 400 of them have been killed by the thugs of this regime. You think about that. These are people fighting for real freedom and fighting against real oppression. And it's what makes me so passionate about defending freedom and standing up against those that falsely malign the great intentions of the vast majority of the people here. And my father, he was a freedom lover too. He was an entrepreneur. He wanted to make a difference for people. This was a great man. He always wanted to uplift people. If you needed a job, Dad would get you a job. If you were looking to start a business, Dad would help you start a business, Rocky. If you worked for him and you were looking to buy a car, a house, or an apartment, and you were short, he would make up the difference. And you might think to yourself, what? Who does that? Well, the late, great Napoleon Billou, for one. And why? Well, first of all, he was a Christian. He believed that he'd been blessed by God, and it was an obligation to go share those blessings with others. But secondly, he did it because he could. He had the financial wherewithal to make a difference. And so, that's what got me interested in entrepreneurship. I had the example of my father. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to help people. I wanted to have the money to help people. And one of the things I noticed, when I eventually did become an entrepreneur, there's so many good men and women out there who get into entrepreneurship. It tends to attract good people. You know what I mean? But the challenge a lot of them have is, well, they don't really come from a business background, and they don't want to come across the wrong way. They don't want to come across like they're pushy or salesy, or like they reek of commission breath. So they don't go after business they should be going after. And unfortunately, this hurts them financially. It also hurts the clients that should have gone with them and benefited from the solutions they offer. And then some charlatan marketer comes in who doesn't care and just wants to make money, scoops in, sells the sizzle, gets the business, doesn't care whether he delivers or not. And, I saw this and I was very bothered by it. And I thought, I want to help these folks and I can show them about business, but more importantly, I can help them reframe their attitude about selling, because selling, a lot of people look at it as scummy, salesy, not so good, right? I don't look at it that way. I look at selling as noble, as beautiful, as wonderful, as a way to be of service. I take a huge stand when I sell. So I thought, what if I can reframe selling to serving? Nobody wants to be sold. Rocky, you don't want to be sold. I don't want to be sold. But everybody wants to be served by a good, caring person. And we all believe very strongly that good, caring people deserve our business, right? And remember, if you're in business, it's a people game. It's not a numbers game. It's not about the money. It's about the people there. And you got to be focused on helping those people solve the problems that they have, because that's what business is. I call it Nicky Billou's 7-figure 3P solution. You gotta solve acute problems for wonderful people for an amazing profit. Problems, people, profit. That's the holy trinity in sales, and in business. So that's what I have been teaching people to do. And we've helped a lot of good men and women who otherwise wouldn't be getting business get out of this horrible attitude that's kept them stuck and get into this wonderful attitude of service that's allowed them to flourish.
And everything comes down to sales, whether it's trying to get a spouse or get a raise at work, or if you're in a business, it all comes down to sales. And I don't think people realize how often they are out there selling. Kids are really good at it, right? They ask all the time. They got no trouble asking. They're constantly demanding. They'll take no 1,000 times over.
Daddy, can I have ice cream? No. Daddy, can I have ice cream? No. Oh, Daddy, buy me ice cream. Oh my God, don't cry, kid. Will you buy me ice cream? Because they'll just keep going until they get what they want. They're the greatest salespeople there is. And that's incredible,
They are. Let's take a step back real quick. As a Christian living in Iran, was that a problem? Like, did he struggle dealing with what was going on there? Or was he there during a time where it was much more accepted?
Well, look, before the Islamic Revolution, being a Christian in Iran, you had to deal with some prejudice, but it wasn't all that big a deal. But after the Islamic Revolution, it was a huge deal. That's why we left.
That's why you left. So when you came here and went to Canada, was that an easy switch for you to do?
No, it was horribly difficult. I was not used to the Canadian culture at all. It took me years, decades, in fact, to really adapt to it properly. I'm an Iranian at my core. When we first came here, the way Canadians acted was very foreign to me. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I didn't like it. It took me a long time to be able to accept it.
It's funny. Anyone who behaves differently than us, we struggle with, right? We all grow up with the way that we grew up, whatever that is. And anything that's different than that, I think, is always a struggle. And you got to overcome it and learn to adapt and change and be willing to see what truly is important or not important. And at the end of the day, we're all people, right? Same dreams.
100%, brother. 100%. We all are people, and that's what life is all about. Life is a people game, and business is a people game. If you put the focus on yourself, you're never going to be as successful as you can be. If you put the focus on others and serving others, you'll be massively successful. You're going to be successful based on how many other people you're willing to serve out of pain and into pleasure and into dreams. So if someone's hurting and their business is not going the way that it ought to be going, and you have a way to help them take their business to another level, you're serving them out of pain and you're serving them into their dream. That's what you should do. If someone's having trouble with their health, for example, maybe they're very overweight and you can help them lose all that weight, you're serving them out of pain and you're serving them into a dream of being a fit person without all the worry of potential disease and pain. And that's incredible. That's your job, I think, as a business owner, first and foremost.
Well, it's the same thing. Even if you're working for a company, you essentially are doing the same thing working in the company, whether you're selling their product or helping to deliver whatever it is that they sell, and to be able to do that. And so wherever you are, I think just helping people is the key to success. Whether you want to stay in the corporate structure, go into the business structure, whatever ways it is, it's the same concept. And all of that still comes back to sales, right? Sales is just helping people get what they want and understanding that. It's a big circle.
Absolutely. 100%.
One of the things that you talked about is that most people live in their comfort zone. Why is that a problem? And then what should we do about it?
Well, your comfort zone is where your dreams go to die, right? So if you have big dreams and you want to achieve them, you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. You're going to have to get out of your comfort zone and stay out of your comfort zone. You know what I'm trying to say? And that is the only way you can be really, really successful, right? If you want to be successful, you've got a choice. You can either go after your dreams hard or you can be comfortable. There is no in between. And for me, you know, I think there's 4 qualities anyone who wants to be successful is going to have. First of all, they have to be decisive. They got to be decisive. They've got to be ready to say, I'm in it to win it. I'm ready to decide. You know, Napoleon Hill, when he was a young man, he was a newspaper reporter. And his editor sent him to go interview Andrew Carnegie, who at the time was the richest man in the world. And when Napoleon Hill went to interview Andrew Carnegie, the two of them hit it off. And so Carnegie said to him, Mr. Hill, how would you like to spend the weekend at my estate? Well, Rocky, I don't know what you would say if the richest man in the world said, how'd you like to spend the weekend at my estate? But I tell you what I would say. Yeah, let's do it. Right. And so he did. And they spent, the weekend together. And near the end of their time, Carnegie just made a proposal to Hill. And he said, Mr. Hill, how'd you like to spend the next 20 years putting together my philosophy of success in written form, writing a book? I will not give you a stipend, but what I will do is give you letters of introduction to 500 most successful men and women in the United States. And when you write the book, obviously, the book, we expect it to be a success and we expect that you'll do well with it. So what say you? It took Napoleon Hill 31 seconds to say, yes, I'll do it. Now, years later, right, after all the great success that Napoleon Hill had with Think and Grow Rich and so forth, he went to visit the great man one last time before he passed. And Carnegie said to him, Mr. Hill, I had a watch with a second hand that I was holding under the table and looking at it when I made you that proposal. And if you had taken more than a minute to make up your mind, I was going to withdraw the offer. And he was like, what? No, why? And, he said, well, you've been studying my philosophy of success. You tell me. He thought about it for a moment and he said, yeah, successful people decide quickly. And he said, yes, they do. Successful men and women gather all the facts and quickly decide, while unsuccessful people hem and haw and think about it and have to have a seance with their dead ancestors and talk with their wife, their husband, their dog, their grandmother. They just make up any old excuse to not make a decision. So you got to be decisive and you got to decide quickly. Secondly, you got to be committed. You can't be, I'm going to try this out for a little while. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, I'll quit. You got to be, no, I'm in it to win it. Are you in it to win it? Or are you one of these poor, lovable folks that's a wandering generality and will never become a meaningful specific? Thirdly, you got to be coachable. You're going to have mentors and coaches and you have to take their coaching. You can't do it your way. Your way hasn't worked. Your way sucks. It has you stuck where you are, right? And then fourthly, you got to be resourceful. You've got to be resourceful. It's going to cost you money. You're going to have to hire coaches and mentors. You're going to have to spend money on growing your business. You're going to have to spend time. You're going to have to spend energy. You got to do all of that. So if you are not all four of those things, you're done. And I'll tell you a story from my life. Several years ago, I was going through a divorce. And at the time, it was unexpected. In retrospect, maybe it shouldn't have been, but at the time it was. And it sent me into a downward spiral. I did not want the divorce, and I was in a horrible place. I, sleeping on my mother's couch, I hadn't made money in months. So I went to see a man, deliver a talk, and during that talk, this man, he really spoke to me. I walked up to him and I said, I think I'd like to hire you. And he said, okay. $5,000 is my minimum fee. I get paid in advance and in full, and you get 5 hours of my coaching, and there are no refunds. Okay. I don't have that kind of money. He took pity on me and he said, kid, I want to give you some advice. I'm like, okay. He said, it doesn't matter how much money you have. What matters is, how bad do you want change? How bad do you want change? Do you want to stay stuck in this shitty place you're in right now? Or do you want change? And I said, okay, I got it. I didn't like what he was telling me. It hurt me, it messed with my ego, but I knew he was right. So I said, give me a couple days. At the time, I was a personal fitness trainer, and I approached a couple folks, and I said to them, hey, I got good news for you. These are folks I've been hemming and hawing about working with me. You're fat and you need to lose weight, and I'm broke and I need money. So here's the deal. Let's get started, and I'm going to give you the deal of the century, half price. But you got to pay me by the end of the call. Are you in or you out? I got two people to give me $1,000 each. I took that $2,000. I walked over to this fella the next day and I said, hey, here's a couple grand. He said, that's nice, but I said 5,000. And I said, hey, buddy, how many people have you shared this story with? The one you shared with me. He said, oh, over the years, 30 or 40. I'm like, all right. Other than me, who else came up with any money? He said, oh, that's easy. You're the first. I said, I'm the first. Okay, great. Said, take my money. I'll sign a contract where I'll repay the rest within, 30, 60 days. So he agreed. I paid him off, ahead of time. And I made $100,000 in 4 months. And the rest is history. Now, why was that possible for me? It was possible because I became resourceful. Didn't matter how much money I had. It mattered how bad I wanted change. Because if you want change badly enough, you'll find a way to get it. And if you don't, any old excuse will do. That's all there is to it.
Today's episode is sponsored by Profit Answer Man Podcast. Did you know that most small business owners hate looking at their financials? It's one reason they may struggle with business success. The Profit Answer Man podcast helps them ensure they are profitable and can pay their employees and weather the storms we all have to face. It's built on the Profit First methodology of pay yourself first. The Profit Answer Man podcast is a must listen to for every small business owner and anyone who wants to help them survive and thrive. Check it out on your favorite listening platform. It's true. I'm going to come back to what you learned in those 5 hours. But, when we started, we were talking about books that we were reading. And it's kind of funny how humans are. So I'm reading The Catalyst, How to Change Anyone's Mind by Jonah Berger. And they did this study. And they basically said to college students, hey, it's the end of the semester. Do you want this trip to Hawaii? And it's pretty reasonable. And they based it on the result of the test. So they broke the people up and said, okay, you got your test, you passed, you're good. Do you want to go on the trip to Hawaii? And those people said, yeah, let's celebrate. And then they had the people who failed the test and said, hey, you failed the test. You want to go to Hawaii? And they go, yeah, we need to go sulk. We failed the test, so we need that. Then they took a third group of people and they said, you don't know if you passed or failed. We haven't told you yet. It's going to be a while. It's taking too long to grade the test. Do you want to go to Hawaii? Those same people said no. Because they faced uncertainty, they were unwilling to make a decision and commit to that. Had they known the decision, good or bad, they would have taken the same path. And so it's funny how, and you talked about uncertainty, and in uncertainty, most people don't take action. And yet that's when we need to take action, is in that uncertainty, but yet we're not wired for it. And so I think that's a struggle that people face. And once you become aware of it, then you can say, oh, I'm uncertain. I was going to go to Hawaii either way, so let's go to Hawaii and let's be more certain and take that next step. And I think that's a big struggle for people. So you paid him for 5 hours, right? He coached you. What did you learn in those 5 hours that made such a big difference?
It's a great question. I learned how to stand out. I learned that being in the sea of sameness sucks. You know? And I wrote my first book. My first published book. I'd written other books before. It's called Finish Line Thinking, How to Think and Win Like a Champion. Now, this is the second edition. There's a first edition of this as well. And this book became a #1 international bestseller. But this book put me on the map, because what I did is I went to people and I said, look, the reason you're not winning is because your mindset sucks. Is because you think like a loser. And me, I'm a world-renowned expert on thinking like a winner. Done it for myself, but I've also worked with, world champion athletes, Olympic gold medalists, top performers in their field. And I've learned what it takes for them to be successful. And I outlined 13 steps in the book. And so he had me write that book, and I used that book as a business card. I handed out over 5,000 copies. I sold another 10,000 copies. That book made me millions, not from book sales though. But I handed out that book. People would read it. And I'd go, listen, read the book, and I'm going to give you a complimentary coaching session. And, let's take it from there. So I gave out these complimentary coaching sessions. I think I can help you. Here's what I'm proposing to do. I'm going to give you a complimentary visioning session where we're going to sit down and create your vision, your blueprint for succeeding in the future. I'm going to do this for free. It's normally like a $2,000 thing that I do, but I'm going to do it for free. But here's the deal. At the end of it, I'm going to ask you flat out, you're going to work with me? Yes or no? And I want a straight answer. I want a yes or a no at the end of that. Okay? I'm good with a no. I'm good with a yes. But there's going to be no, I'll think about it, I'll get back to you crap. Deal? So that's what this fellow taught me. I used this methodology, and I was able to set up dozens of these types of calls. And these calls allowed me to succeed. I got a lot of business out of it. Really, really worked for me. To this day, there's people who read the book, and I offer to do that complimentary coaching call with them, and then I offer them a complimentary session. And at the end of that session, I'll ask them, I'll say, listen, we're going to create the blueprint for you. I just need a straight yes or no. And I go, okay, here's the blueprint. Here's what we've done. You in, you out. It's been very effective for me.
So if we looked at the book, what are the main tenets there that cause you to think like a champion? What is that differential between the people who are and aren't?
Well, honestly, it's using the principles in the book, and there's 13 of them in the book. I'll give you a couple of them. One is champions take care of their physical health. They work out, they eat right. And that makes sense for athletic champions, but it really makes sense for all champions. You take care of your health, you're going to have the energy to be able to go out there and do what you need to do. I had a fellow who was a realtor who used to tell me that working out gave him the energy to do one more transaction a month. And at the time, that was about $10,000 a month. So he made an extra 120 grand a year from that. You think about that. That's pretty powerful. Secondly, eat right, work out, eat right. All that's important, and all top thinkers, all of them, without any exception, these folks have mentors, coaches, and peer groups. They don't do anything by themselves. They get the very best mentors. So I told this story, right? My friend, Olympic gold medalist Mark McCoy, he had been, before he won his Olympic gold medal, he had been one of the top people in the world in the 110 meter hurdles. But his nickname was Mr. Fourth Place, right? Why? Because on all the big races he choked. He'd been Canadian champion 15 times. He'd been Commonwealth Games champion, but World Championship, Olympic Championship, he choked. Fourth place several times, seventh place. And what ended up happening, brother, is that Mark had a fellow who was a fellow 110 meter hurdles runner. He was the world champion. He came to him and said, "Yo, Mark, how'd you like to come and train with me?" And Mark thought this was it. He was going to retire. And he said, "Okay, fine, I'll come train with you." And this guy lived in Wales. Mark's from Canada, so he went to Wales. And he met with this guy's coach. And this guy's coach was the very best coach in the world. The very best when it came to putting, champions together inside of hurdles. And he went to Mark's friend, Colin Jackson, who was the world champion. He said, "Hey, Colin, sure you want me to work with Mark?" He said, "Yeah, why?" He said, "Well, I know what's wrong with him and his form, and I can help him fix it. And if I do, he might beat you." And like a true champion, he said, no, that doesn't bother me. Come on over and, help him out. So Mark, that's the mark of a true champion. Losers would go, no, don't teach him. Champions go, no, we'll both get better, right? So Mark was there with this fellow, Malcolm, the coach, and Malcolm said to him, "Hey, Mark, why don't you go take a run over those hurdles? Let me see your form." So Mark did that, and guess what? He noticed what was wrong with Mark's. He said, "Hey, Mark, your foot's crooked." His right foot was straight, his left foot was slightly crooked. "What do you see there, Rocky?"
A V.
Yeah. Look harder. Why is this significant?
Because you're not going straight, right? Your feet are pointed.
No, you're running straight. Your foot's not straight. But why is this significant?
I don't know. I'm not a hurdler.
All right. It's losing an inch on each step. And when he said an inch, I came all this way for an inch. And he said, "Buddy, you take 37 of those steps in a race. It's not an inch. Sorry, 39. He said it's 39 inches. Now, Rocky, have you ever watched high-level track and field, 110 meters, 100-meter hurdles? What is the difference between the first-place finisher, the second-place finisher, the third-place finisher? Is it yards or is it inches?"
It's inches, right? Maybe not even inches.
So Mark gained 39 inches in the same time. And he told him how to fix it. He said, "Run over the hurdles, concentrate, your foot will go straight." 2 years later, Mark won the 1992 Olympic gold medal for the 110-meter hurdles. First track and field gold medal for Canada in 60 years. His winning margin, 30 inches. That is the difference between any old coach and the best coach. And in my world, I tell folks, hey, listen, I'm the very best coach when it comes to helping service-based entrepreneurs add 1 to 2 zeros to their annual income. I'm the Malcolm Arnold in my space. And if you're hurting and your business needs a 0 or 2 attached to the end of it, you can go hire any old coach. You can even hire a great coach and a good coach, or you can hire the best coach.
I think the key there, and what people don't realize, and it applies to many areas of life, little teeny changes done multiple times, in this case 39, make a big difference in life. And too often we go, well, as he said, what's an inch? I came all this way for an inch. They don't understand the compound effect of what little things do over a longer period of time. And more often than not, it's not massive. It's tiny changes that bring about massive change.
Yes, sir. Exactly. 100%.
So what is it that makes you such a great coach?
Look, man, I'm Persian. We don't go deep into that sort of thing and brag on ourselves. My dad would slap me upside the head, but I teach people how to let their heart out. And I think that makes a big difference. And I help them see what's in their blind spot that they themselves don't see. And one of the things I really show people how to do is how to think like that top level champion performer. And there's a lot of folks, like I was saying before, who are in business who, let's face it, their ability to understand how to be a business person is not very, very strong. They just don't have a business background. They don't know business, right? So I teach these folks how to be a business person. And one of the key things is a lot of folks in business sound like everybody else. They're stuck in that sea of sameness. So I show them how not to be stuck in the sea of sameness, right? How to come up with their own beautiful, fabulous messaging. You know what I'm trying to say, brother? And that is really important. That is really, really powerful. You know, I had a young fella come to me once. He was also a personal fitness trainer. He was a good man, really young fellow, wanted to help everybody, but he sucked as a businessman. He had like 7 clients. He was making $1,200, $1,300 a month in Toronto, which is like the New York City of Canada. Pretty expensive place to live if you know what New York City's like. That's what Toronto's like, you know. And he came to me and he was excited. He wanted to help people. And I said, hey, man, so who do you help? And he goes, I can help anybody, Nicky. I'm like, no, man, we can't do that. You got to narrow your focus. He goes, no, man, I can help anybody. He's like, okay. Doctors. My dad's a doctor. I love my dad. Like, that's not a great message. But doctors make money. That's even worse. Didn't really work out for him. So he said, look, we got to fix this. He says, okay. I go more narrow. Cardiologists. They make more money than doctors. I'm like, oh my God, he's not getting it. He's just not getting it. So anyways, didn't work out. Finally, the good Lord serendipitously brought him a Paralympic athlete. This man had a missing leg from when he was a kid. And this fellow and this young man, Danny, started working out. Danny and him, they hit it off. Peas in a pod. He made this guy much stronger, helped him go out there and win some medals in competition. It was pretty awesome. And then he came to me and he goes, Nicky, I think I get it. I love helping this man. I made a difference for this man. And, you know, it wasn't about the money. It was about making a difference for him. I think I'd like to work with people who are, you know, having missing limbs. I thought, that's a great idea. Go for it. Brother, in 6 weeks, he signed up 400 clients. 400 clients. Think about that. 400 freaking clients. Damn. He added not 1 zero, but 2 zeros to his monthly income. He went from 1,200, 1,300 to over 100 grand a month. Why? Well, first of all, he stopped focusing on the numbers. He started focusing on the people, right? Secondly, and this is very important, nobody else was going after these folks. All the other trainers said, I'm missing limbs, they can't work out. But Danny, he's like, yeah, I know they can work out. I can help them work out. I can make them strong. I'm going to change their life. I'm going to transform their life. And that message took. Just imagine being someone with a missing limb. You probably aren't thrilled about it. You probably don't think you can do anything that an able-bodied person can do, at least physically. And Danny's message was, the heck with that. You can do anything anybody else can do. You're just as good as anybody else. You're awesome. What a beautiful message. That's how it took. If you ask me what makes me special, I don't know that I'm all that special, but I help people see what's special about them and how they can take that out into the world. And to that extent, yeah, I'm good at what I do.
You know, I think that's one of the dirty little secrets. Most business people don't understand the business of business. They really struggle with it.
That's pretty brilliant.
And even though they are business owners, they aren't that great at it. And if you look at the statistics, 95+% of businesses don't last 10 years. And it's for that specific reason. They don't understand the numbers and the business they're in. They love what they do, but that's not necessarily going to make them successful in their business. You talked about showing people blind spots. Do you find that there are certain blind spots that tend to be more prevalent in people?
Well, I think we've been talking about it, right? There's good people who don't realize that they can be a good person and still be successful, and they think they have to be focusing on the money and the numbers. How many times have you heard, this is a business, I got to be business-like? And yeah, that's true, but this is people, business is people. And you got to have a clear message. That's a blind spot. A lot of people don't understand that they don't have a message. They don't understand business. And another thing that people don't understand is they're undervaluing themselves. You think about this, Rocky. So many people in business undercharge. Why? Well, they either don't think they're worth it or they think they are worth it, but they don't think anybody will pay. Both of those are horrible points of view. Both of them. And they stem from putting the attention on you and not them. Business is about them, their problems. It's not about you and your incredible program and how awesome it is. If you focus on solving problems and providing solutions, you can charge based on the value of the solution you provide. Now, imagine, Rocky, that you are a relationship coach and you work with men who own $100 million companies whose wives have left them, and you help them turn that around, right? And you imagine the cost of a divorce for a man worth $100 million? At least 50 million, right? Minimum, bare minimum. So you go to that fellow and you go, I can help you. We can get this sorted out. And he goes, great. Awesome. What's the investment? And you go, oh, $50. He's going to look at you and go, what? Huh? $50? He's not going to trust it. There's the expectancy bias. Expectancy bias is people expect to pay for things that are valuable. And if you charge $50, he's not going to trust you that you're going to be able to deliver anything good. You're robbing him of the value of the solution. Now, if you charge $50,000, yeah, then he, expect that you're offering something really great. And that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. Because if you're not doing that, right, you are robbing your client of the value of their solution. You shouldn't gouge people. You shouldn't undercharge them either. Why is that good? It helps your client. But it also has the added bonus of helping you. You'll make more money. You'll be able to grow your business faster. Right? And I had a client, fellow out of Manhattan, had a acupuncture clinic. He did well. Made $150,000 a year, Rocky. But that's not much money in Manhattan. Came and it went super quick. He comes to me and goes, Nicky, I want to make more money. How much more? I want to make $1 million. What a wonderful number it is, eh? $1 million. I said, all right, let's take a look at your business. You get a great message. He had great clientele, high-end clientele, celebrities, people like Bobby De Niro, and everything about his business was great except one thing. He didn't charge enough. And I said, dude, we got to raise your prices. He goes, okay. How much do you think I should raise them to? I think you should 20-fold them. Calm down. Don't hyperventilate. Relax. Breathe. And I'm like, dude, breathe. He's like, okay. I'll breathe. So I finally persuaded him to 7-fold his prices. He wouldn't 20-fold. But brother, he did 20-fold the number of clients he got when he 7-folded his prices. Now, why? Why? Because folks like Robert De Niro started bringing people there. But my acupuncturist, he's the best in Manhattan. Look at how much he charges. He went to $1.2 million in less than 4 months. That's the power of charging what your solution is worth. You help your clients, you help yourself.
Always nice. And again, it comes back to what you talked about. I think a lot of people are afraid to do that. And you see the same thing with employees. They undercharge their employers what they're worth, or they won't apply for a job because they don't think they're worth what the salary posted is. And the reality is business owners don't mind paying people if you can help them generate more money. And so if you figure out what those keys are and how to do that, it's the same principles wherever you are. Learn how to help people achieve what they want and bring them value, and they will reward you for it. I think too often we hold ourselves back, and that's a big part of the problem.
1,000%, brother.
And that is an absolute shame. So we always like to get people to take action. What's an action step people can take this week to move forward in their life?
I don't know when you're releasing the episode, but we're talking in the middle of November in 2022. And there's a lot of people right now who are scared. I don't blame them. The lockdowns were awful. Destroyed a lot of people's equilibrium, destroyed their mental health, destroyed a lot of businesses. And inflation, war in Europe, inconclusive midterm elections in the United States. I mean, it's just nuts, right? There's a lot of folks that are looking at all that, and they're thinking to themselves, wow, what should I do? And there's analysis paralysis. And the reason is they don't believe they can win. So the first thing I want to say to you is you got to upgrade your belief. Upgrade your dang belief. And if your belief is weak, borrow mine, because I believe you can win. You need to believe you can win. First thing you can do is just level up your mindset. Go on Amazon and buy Finish Line Thinking. Buy my book. Read it. Get your mindset to a really, really good place. And you got to do something like that. And if you're in business and you want to grow your business and it's not growing as fast as you want it to, then your job is to get in front of potential buyers. That's the bottom line, right? Get in front of potential buyers. If you can't get in front of potential buyers, you're done. You're done. You're done. So that's my double dog dare. Let's get in front of potential buyers now. Between now and the middle of December, you got a month to go hard. So go hard.
And that's what people have to do. You got to get out, get uncomfortable, take the action, and continue to pivot and show up. Mindset is a big part of it, and it's one of the key principles we always like to talk about here.
100%, brother. 100%.
It's time to learn the secrets of life. What's your secret to living an abundant life?
Every day I talk to a bunch of people and I acknowledge what's awesome about them. Getting connected with people gives me energy.
That's pretty awesome, right? You build people up, they build you up. What did you learn later in life that you wish you would have learned sooner?
To start my own business. I wish I never worked for a corporation ever. And I wish I started a business when I was in high school and I kept it going.
And I think a lot of people have corporate regrets, but they're scared to take that step. And it's not easy to start a business later on. You got obligations, but if you do it and you do it right, you have the potential to make so much more. So I think it's definitely worth it to explore. If you were to give an 18-year-old one specific piece of wisdom, what would it be?
Become a capitalist. And throw away all that bullshit, woke-ass nonsense they taught you in school. They taught you a bunch of crap. Get it all out of your head. Become a right-wing capitalist and go get rich.
Everyone's got to figure out their path forward. If people would like to learn more about you and your programs, what's the best way for them to do that?
I got a bunch of websites, but my main website is ecircleacademy.com. There's a whole bunch of resources there. But if you're a business owner and you're stuck and you want to get unstuck, go to ecircleacademy.com/appointment, book what I call a success call. And this is basically a call where we're going to go and take a look at where your business is right now, where you want it to be. And we're going to have an honest conversation about why it's not where you want it to be and what the impact of that is and what you continuing to allow that impact to continue is doing to you. And then we're going to bring you to a place to decide if you're ready to do something about it or not. It's a brilliant, authentic, raw and real, heart-based, love-based conversation. And if you really want to shift where you're at, if this has not been the year you wanted it to be, I double dog dare you to go book that call.
And we'll put the links in the show notes to make it easy. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Rocky, thanks for having me on the show, man. You're awesome, buddy. Great experience.
Do you think you're in sales? I'm going to tell you are. Everyone is always selling. Whether it's you trying to get your kids to clean up their rooms, get a promotion at work, grow your business, it's all about helping other people get what they want so you can get what you want. I loved how 1 inch turned into success. Too often we think we need big outcomes, but the reality is small positive outcomes repeated often can lead us to tremendous success in our lives. Takes us right back to the beginning with Warren Buffett. Little tiny success compounded over 90 plus years. This is what you get. This week's action step, upgrade your beliefs about what you achieve. Level up your mindset. A bad mindset stops all success. It's why it's the core for us here at Richer Soul in order to achieve the life we want. What do you want? What kind of sales call do you have to make to get it? Think about that. That's a good thinking question that you might noodle over for weeks at a time and constantly ask and improve upon. And then create your plans, take action, and over time, success happens. Next week, we have on Christopher Kluver to talk about living life on your terms. By the way, if you enjoyed this episode and you know someone else who would you do me a favor and share it? Thank you. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Looking forward to continuing the conversation. Have an abundant week.